Hello, everybody. Welcome into the NBA Front Office Show special post-game edition. Game 4 goes the Thunder's way. And now we've got a tied NBA Finals 2-2. I'm Trevor Lane, joined by Keith Smith. Keith, I was going to say it's Front Office Friday. I guess technically it still kind of is, at least for another like half an hour where you are. So I guess it still counts as Front Office Friday.
It does. It does. I'm not going to yell, though. Everybody's in bed, so.
No.
And the yell's only for the real Front Office Friday.
Far too late for that. But an exciting game. And Keith, my number one takeaway from this is Indiana has to feel like, oh my God, what did we just do? We just let our opportunity, it was right there in front of us, and we let it slip through our fingers.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it was, you had the lead in the fourth quarter. You only put up 17 points. The Thunder defense really locked in. They outscore them by 14 in that fourth quarter. It felt like the end of the third quarter, like Indiana was threatening to run away with it and just could not, fully pull away. And, the Thunder shot like crap. All game, especially from deep to the point where they just stopped taking them. 3 of 17.
That's awesome.
Just brutal. If you're the Pacers, you gotta feel like you missed out. Couldn't block out either and get big rebounds at multiple points during the series. So, it kind of missed opportunity here to go up 3-1. You go up 3-1, you're probably winning the title. Now, this is going to be tough.
Yeah, I mean, this is I don't think it's an exaggeration to say that this year's NBA champion may just have swung in the final 14 minutes of this game. The Pacers had momentum. They were rolling, and the final 2 minutes of the third, things unraveled a little bit, and I went, uh-oh. As I was watching that game, I thought, it's too close going into the fourth, and then the Thunder, they were able to make that run in the fourth quarter, and things just got too difficult for Indiana to score. And I thought Indiana, to their credit, did a great job all game long. I thought they made life incredibly difficult on the Thunder. I thought their defense was everywhere, and it felt like this time it was the Pacers were the team that kind of ran out of gas late, and the Thunder were able to get it to another level, and especially forcing some of the stops that they did, some big misses. What was going on at the free throw line for the Pacers as well? They had some issues there. Just a major missed opportunity. I could say this, Keith, sports tend to not let you get away with stuff like this. The basketball gods tend to not be very forgiving for situations like this. So, going into this game, the Thunder were the favorites to win the whole thing. Despite the fact that the Pacers were up 2-1, I believe it's now very strongly in favor of the Thunder now that they've reclaimed home court. And the Pacers let this game probably, slip away. And again, credit to the Thunder for going out there and taking. I thought they really, they gritted their teeth. They went after offensive rebounds when they needed to. SGA had no free throw attempts through about halfway through the third quarter and finished with 10. Now, some people will point to that and go, oh, Scott Foster series extender and all that. I thought the Thunder just really locked down in that fourth quarter, got to business, and did what they needed to do to get themselves back in the game and back in the series here as well.
Yeah, a lot to react to there. I don't think it was funny, my mentions throughout the game where stupid NBA wants the Pacers to win when the Pacers are up. The minute it flipped, then it was, NBA wants OKC and wants the game series tied. And guys, sometimes you just lose. Like, were there bad calls? Sure. But there are bad calls in every sport, no matter what it is, in the course of a game. Nothing is ever perfectly officiated, just like it's not perfectly played. I didn't think there was anything extremely egregious. I thought the flagrant fouls were stupid. I don't really understand.
Yeah, they were like, can we let them play a little bit and not call every little thing a flagrant? That was ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, and if that Nesmith foul in game 3 wasn't a flagrant, how are those flagrant foul? Like, I don't know. It just didn't make a lot of sense to me, but whatever with that. It ultimately, I guess, ended up evening out in the end. But free throws were pretty even. Fouls were relatively even. Did SGA get away with a push off? Sure.
Big time.
But that wasn't why the Pacers didn't hit a shot down the stretch. Like, people focus on the wrong stuff. Like, the Thunder defense was really good. And they were really good without fouling. The Pacers were in the bonus with 6 minutes to play, and the Thunder, just locked in and started playing really, really well. So, it kind of is what it is. There. And then I think the winner of game 5 wins the series. If the Pacers win, they're going to win in 6 at home. And if they win, I'll still pick Thunder in 6. That was my pre-finals pick, but maybe it takes 7. But I do think the Thunder will win if they win in game 5. So we'll see. I mean, game 5 is going to be everything now. You got to now too. All of the guys who've been getting in for a couple minutes here, you just scrap that.
Yeah.
Play your best guys, run them as long as you can until they absolutely need a break, and you just kind of go. Like, no issue with that.
I can't help but feel like watching too. When you look at the numbers, the performance you got out of Obi Toppin in this game, I mean, he had such a phenomenal game. The performance that you got out of your defense for so much of the game. Again, the Pacers let it slip away. But the thing is, Keith, as much as I really want to do just land on, whoever won game 4 was going to win this series ultimately. And I do think it is in the Thunder's favor. But that said, the Pacers have made me look stupid for months now. Like that's just what they've done. Every time I count them out, every time I dismiss their chances, they come back and they just look phenomenal, and they execute and they defend and they play wonderful basketball. I mean, how many teams can take the ball out of the hands of their primary ball handler? And to be fair, the Thunder did this quite a bit tonight too with Jalen Williams, but the Pacers taking the ball out of the hands of Halliburton, letting Nembhard run things, and then making Halliburton a secondary creator, and still executing on the offensive end the way that they did for much of the game. Absolutely incredible. So I can't just say this is over. It's certainly in the Thunder's favor, but wow. I hope we get a game 5 for the ages, because I think you're right. I think both sides are going to pull out all the stops, and both sides know exactly what game 5 is going to ultimately mean for this series.
Yeah, and I don't think either team at this point is capable of a true runaway blowout. I just think both teams are too in it to get blown out in a game. So I think it's going to be close. Like, I mean, it might end up like game 2 where the Thunder kind of controlled it the entire way, but that didn't turn into a full on blowout there. Walter White checking in, taking a break from making meth, I guess, this evening. And he says, is Obi Toppin a free agent this coming offseason? He is not. This was year 1 of a 4-year deal for Obi Toppin, which now looks like a very team-friendly deal, which a year ago there were a lot of people, why did they sign him and then go trade for Siakam? I think I would have closed with Toppin over Miles Turner. I know Miles Turner's under the weather, but this has been a disaster of finals for Turner outside of his defense at the end of game 3.
And what about the sidestep banked in 3 later? I don't remember. Was that game 2? I don't remember.
Game 1.
Game 1.
This is the game they won.
That's right. Yeah. That's right.
So it's just been rough for him, and Toppin had it going. That said, Toppin wasn't very good defensively tonight. He was out there for a lot of the early part of the fourth quarter where the Thunder got back in it, and I don't really want to say took control, but kind of got there. But yeah, it's been a rough finals for Miles Turner.
Yeah, it definitely has. It definitely has. Will Turner still get paid? Yeah, he's still going to get paid. Yeah. He was great throughout the playoffs. He struggled a little bit. Just it's a combination of things, but I do think there are moments too where Turner could be a little bit more aggressive. He's just looking to hand the ball off, and the Thunder's defense is reading him on that. I'd like to see him attack a little bit more, but you know what? Like, he could wind up being the hero of game 5. Like, you just never, it seems like every game there's somebody else that's stepping up. Tonight it was Obi Toppin. We've seen TJ McConnell as well. Maybe game 5 will be the Miles Turner game. I'm not counting that guy out.
Yeah, I'll say too, the Pacers, big thing they got to come back with was the Thunder in the fourth quarter put the ball in Jalen Williams' hands to initiate the offense. After about 6 possessions in a row, including one where Williams got an 8-second violation, and it took them forever to get into anything. Once they figured it out, they had 4 out of 5 possessions where they just spread the floor and ran Williams and SGA in a 2-man game, drew the switch, and then SGA went to work on Aaron Nesmith. The one where they got a stop on it was Williams rejected the screen from SGA, pulled up and missed the shot himself. The way they were able to get Nembhard off SGA and get Neesmith on him, that's what got SGA going. He hit a little leaner in the paint, then hit a step back three, then hit that one where he pushed off, and then drew a couple free throws. So, 4 successful possessions out of 5 where they were able to get the main guy switched off him. Pacers got to figure that out. You either can't give the switch or you have to send a second guy the minute they make the pass. You got to do something and force somebody else to beat you other than letting SGA go at what is, I think, now become his preferred matchup to attack.
Oh, big time. Big time. I mean, and that's some of that is credit to Nembhard and how good he's been defensively. He's been all over the place. He's been doing a wonderful job. But the Pacers are going to have a counter to that because the Thunder are going to throw that at them again to try to get Nembhard off of SGA, to try to get him going. Because as you said, look, I mean, 10 free throws to close out the game. Halfway through the third, he had 0. That was a big part of the Thunder surging ahead here. Let's also give some credit.
Of the free throws he got given were the crappy ones either. It felt like they were all fouls.
Like the knee on the floater. Neesmith, I mean, clearly hit him on the wrist. It was Rick Carlisle was watching it, hoping that he could challenge it. No, there was nothing to challenge.
Yeah, Rick Carlisle even gave one of those to Neesmith because he was jumping up and down begging for the challenge, and Carlisle was like, "No, there's not that. Like, he fouled him. I can't challenge that." So, yeah, tough. I think. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, give credit to Alex Caruso as well. 5 steals and 20 points. Yeah. He was phenomenal. The backdoor cuts were great from him. You don't normally look at him to score the basketball, but 5 steals in this game to lead the Thunder. That was huge, I thought, for OKC.
Yeah, with SGA coming alive late, I would say Caruso was their best player throughout the entirety of the game. He was so good from the time he got in. You got to play him a little bit more, though. If you're Mark Daigneault, I know Caruso himself even said, "I don't know if I can play more because I don't know how to dial it down."
Sure.
But the minutes when he took him out in the fourth quarter, it felt like this could get away from me. It didn't, and they ended up okay. But yeah, Chet Holmgren did a really nice job on the boards. Really did a good job getting after it on the boards. Pascal Siakam had a weird game. He was really good offensively early, and then just kind of didn't really get anything going late in the game, and then was sat for a long stretch again in that fourth quarter. So I just be really, really careful there with sitting your guys too long. There was a point in the first half when Rick Carlisle sat both Halliburton and Siakam at the same time. I would not do that.
No,
that feels like that's a regular season rotation thing you can get away with. Like you're gonna have to run your guys.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to, especially look. We didn't see anybody touch 40 minutes for the Pacers. That needs to change for Game 5. They're going to have to play their guys. That doesn't mean you have to go JJ Redick and play 5 guys the entire second half, but you need to play your guys here. Now, what's striking when you look at this is still how close this. Look at the points off turnovers. Look at the total turnovers. Look at the steals. Look at the assists. Obviously, went in the favor of the Pacers. That was credit to the Pacers' defense. In part, I thought they stagnated the Thunder offense quite a bit. But this game,
and the Thunder are just not a high assist team.
That's part of it for sure.
They run a ton of ISO stuff that results in the ball handler taking the shot.
Right, and that's fine. But I thought the Pacers did a nice job, at least kind of frustrating that Thunder offense. But 3 of 17 from 3, that's the worrying part for the Pacers, that the Thunder, they're probably not going to do that again. So that was your chance right there in terms of your ability to come in here and beat this team. But still, I'm excited for Game 5. I think anything can still happen in this series. It's anybody's game, and this would be such a Pacers thing to just when everybody thinks the Thunder has control of the series, for the Pacers to come roaring back and take Game 5. But I think this has been, I'll tell you this, big picture, Keith, this series has been way more enjoyable than I expected it to be. I thought the Thunder were going to outclass the Pacers, and it turns out these have been fights most of the way. These have been battles. The Pacers have been fantastic. And this has been, despite what the ratings say, this has been an awesome series.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I thought Adam Silver really spoke to the ratings conversation really well. I was before game 3, maybe. I think they interviewed him. Maybe it was game 2. I can't remember. It was definitely game 3 because they had already had 2 games of ratings. And they said he was on the ESPN pregame and they
Mhm.
talked to him about it. And he said, you know, they're still winning the night. Like they're still winning the night, and he said if anything else comes along and beats us, it'll be because it's another sports program. And he's like, it just people don't. There's so much stuff to watch right now that people just aren't watching that way anymore. Like outside of very even the NFL, I read this the other day, had a dip in their ratings for the first time in a long time. Now, it's a dip from a bajillion people watching.
Sure.
That's the absolute scientific number. But like, so it doesn't really like you get to a point where it's like, all right, we're gonna complain about all this stuff, and then he continues to talk about too. People consume the NBA in ways that are not traditional
100%.
watching it through a cable. So, I tweeted it late in the game. Like if you're not watching because of market size, that's on you. Like I get you must just not love basketball then.
For
Because
sure.
this has been a fantastic finals. It's been so much fun. 3 out of the 4 games have been really, really good. Even the 4th game wasn't bad. It just was the Thunder got control and then just kind of did what they did and salted the game away. So yeah, people should be watching. It's really fun.
Absolutely.
I wish I could remember who it was. I've listened to so many podcasts, but somebody made the point too. The longer it goes, the more people will watch. Right? Now it's 2-2 tied. Game 5 probably more. All right, I'm interested now, even if I wasn't before.
Right.
Let's see what happens. Like and I get that way in like baseball or even sometimes hockey. Like I don't really have a lot of interest in watching other than the team I enjoy in baseball. And it's like I'll but all right, it's a game 6 of a World Series and a team has a chance. I'll throw it on if there's nothing else on.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. If there's something like that, and you're in for some drama, right? That's where people will start to tune in. And I think this series is
Mhm.
getting more and more dramatic as it goes. I thought there was more chippiness in tonight's game too. Like you
Yeah,
could see it. Guys are starting to get tired of each other. And that's when you're gonna get that little bit extra at the end of
yep,
plays, little pushing, little shoving, stuff like that. Emotions start running high because guys are just tired. You've been playing this. This is the 4th straight game against these guys now. You're tired of seeing this same guy in front of you. You're tired of the same bump fouls and stuff like that. And
yep,
so you get that little extra added drama that the chippiness brings to it. And that's part of why, Keith, I was so disappointed to see the flagrant fouls that were called in this. So I thought they were pretty soft flagrant
yep,
fouls. Like, come on, I know the series is going to get chippy, but I want some of that. I want to feel like a little bit of
sure,
venom here between
yeah.
between these two teams. I think we're getting there, but let's not be too whistle happy in
I
this.
I thought Richard Jefferson really said it best when he said exactly that. He's like, they're tired of each other now. This is
Yeah,
how it goes in a series. You get to game 4, and everybody's like, all right, we play this team. Because you have to remember, you do not do this in the NBA. Like at most, you play the same team 2 games in a row in the regular season. That happens more now because we have these baseball style series that are designed to cut down on travel and the like. But other than that, like you play a team and you, especially East and West, you might play them once and then not play them again for months. So now it's, all right, we've seen these guys and yeah, I'm tired. That little thing you do, that little smirk you make when you draw a foul, like, we're over it, like with that stuff.
absolutely. Absolutely. And that's again, I think that adds to the drama for anybody who has not been watching this series. All right, looks like you flagged this question. When the finals are over, what players do you think teams would try to snag away from OKC and the Pacers? Do you see either team as being in a position where they have to jettison some talent? Maybe the Pacers, depending on what they want to do with Miles Turner.
Yeah, I mean, Miles Turner's the only key free agent from either one of these teams. The Thunder only have 2 potential free agents. It's AJ Mitchell and Jalen Williams. Neither guy's a rotation guy at this point in the season. 2 players they like, 2 players are high on, and they have team options on both those guys and can keep them. Turner is a free agent, but then the rest of the Pacers free agents are guys like Thomas Bryant, Tony Bradley. I mean, fine, but you're not going to stress over losing a third third center at this point. Isaiah Jackson's a potential restricted free agent. He's been out all season long. So yeah, so we're at a spot where I don't think these teams are going to get poached that way. Thunder will probably make a couple of roster moves only because, like I just said, they're only have 2 free agents and they're basically out of roster spots with the draft picks they have coming in. So they're going to have to do some stuff.
I think they're going to wind up taking at least one of these picks and pushing it down the road of not turning it into some kind of type of value. Maybe we saw, I think it was last year, didn't they? They traded one of their picks for a 2027 pick. I think that was that deal with Denver.
So that was like that pre-draft deal. Yep.
Yeah, I could see the Thunder doing something like that. But when I look at Indiana, they're going to go well into the tax in order to keep this team together. What's funny is Obi Toppin was great tonight, and back at the trade deadline, Obi Toppin was one of the guys that the Pacers were reportedly Obi shopping to see if they could potentially free up a little bit of space to help them hang on to Miles Turner. And now he's doing great things for them. So I think they're largely going to keep these teams. And really, when we look at the Thunder, it's not so much this summer, it's next summer when Chet and J-Dub get paid. That's when things start to get a little more interesting for them. Right now, I don't think these teams are going to see their talent poached or anything like that. If the Knicks call about their coaches, they're certainly getting shut down.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Let's call about their coaches, which we got a little news on that. Shams, I think it was like halftime or third quarter, breaks in. They're going to interview Taylor Jenkins and Mike Brown, which was reported the other day that's the guys they're going to take a look at least with their first official interviews. So
they are actually not available. Employed with other teams, so they could actually bring those guys in. So that maybe that's a step in the right direction for the Knicks. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. BCW says I look sleepy and tired. I'll also say it's been raining a lot here and my allergies are in full-on hyperdrive and I've not taken my allergy pill yet. So that's part of it. It's why every time like you're talking, I'm like reaching for a tissue because I'm like, I've got the runny nose going on a little bit here, but I do appreciate our guy Dimitri
where you're at too.
Dimitri Owen saying it's almost 12 a.m. where he lives, and he's not a night person like Trevor is. This is 100%
that's true.
Trevor's just getting his day started.
That's right, dude. I'm gonna go work out after this. I'm gonna be like, this is the start of my day here. Yeah, this is I am the night owl. That's for sure. Yeah. I'm definitely not a morning person. But
I do not text Trevor before like 10 or 11 a.m. in the morning.
He's not getting a response.
Just because I know he's not gonna reply. Which also is like he would know on a normal night not to text me unless it's a major trade after like 11:30 or 12. I am.
I think the last time I did was Kevin Durant got traded.
True. Yeah, and you're like, get out of bed. KD got traded, which may end up happening again here in the next few days. So. But I will like I am early to bed and I am up early all the time. Like that's even though this is what I do now, I cannot break the habit. I'm up 6:30 is almost the latest I ever sleep in.
I'm like Ryan Howard from The Office. There's something about the fresh morning air that just makes me sick.
Love it. Oh man,
I can't do the early morning thing. Not my thing. But it's a killer though during the time period that we're getting into now, because like people are so worried about being beaten to a story that it'll be 6 a.m. or something Pacific time, and they're throwing out there like breaking news. This team's trading for this guy. I'm like, you couldn't have waited like a couple hours. Come on.
I don't mind it. I'm already up and going. I'm good. I don't need any more KD 2:30 in the morning trades. Those are too much. And again, we may get one. So who knows?
May.
That's if you guys missed, we talked about it earlier today on regular Front Office Friday. Sounds like a KD trade is getting close, and that's only picked up, I think, even in the last like several hours. There's been a couple more reports of like this sounds like it's coming down the line. So
the phrase that was included that I thought that really intrigued me was final offers.
Yes,
that teams are submitting final offer. That tells you it's getting pretty. That means the best offers, those are going to be on the table, and then it's going to be on the Suns to pick one. Yeah. So that tells you this is happening, and it's happening sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and I think in a NBA Finals that are tied 2-2, sure, the NBA doesn't necessarily want that coming out right now, but there will be a chance that if it happens, there are 2 days off in between each game now. If it happens on the first of the 2 days off and that dominates the news cycle, whatever, fine, great. Like they'll take it, they'll live with it. So,
Yep.
And it's not like there's not going to be plenty happening as soon as the finals end anyway.
Trev, not a morning person, used to be a teacher. Yeah, I just gutted it out. That was what I did. I had to, and I made it through, but didn't mean that I enjoyed it being up in the early classes.
There's a good question.
Yeah.
Mr. Kevin L. Johnson and some numbers. Kevin Johnson that saved the Kings from moving to Seattle. Kevin Johnson.
Yeah.
And had some issues after that. You don't think OKC will have a repeat of history where we think they'll be in the finals for years, they disappear, like the KD, Harden, Westbrook trio? I don't. It's a different thing now. They have paid the tax, quite a bit of tax, actually, several years since they let Harden go. Slightly different ownership group. One of the people that was involved with the decision, apparently, of we can't pay all these guys. There's no, I think he's actually passed away now, but no longer a part of it. And I think they know. But as Trevor said a couple minutes ago, this is not an issue for at least a couple of years. And by the time it starts to become an issue, the cap will have gone up 10% twice. So it's it won't feel like the same kind of issue that it maybe could be. They're fine next season. Like Chet and J-Dub still have a year left on their rookie scale deals. So we're in a spot where they're okay, to kind of just keep things moving a little bit. So I don't think we're going to see the Thunder break this up. What they will do is they're going to cycle through the guys around those three.
The team option for Hartenstein, Lou Dort's team option. Guys like that, like
tradable contracts for like
Isaiah
Joe. Wiggins. Yeah. Caruso may not make it all the way to the end of his deal. He could get traded at some point just because he'll be, I think, 35 years old by the time that thing ends. So yeah. And then obviously the guys below those guys like Ousmane Dieng, a handful of the other guys, like those guys will get cycled out. And that's how they'll kind of keep this thing going, because it won't be any of the big three guys, but everybody else, they'll kind of just keep moving on to the next guy. Exactly. And because they have all the draft picks, it's just a lot of bites at the apple to find cheap, cost-effective rotation players that can come in. Even if those picks don't all pan out to be high lottery picks, you're still getting a bunch of picks in the first round where you can bring that guy in. And in some ways, it might even be better if they feel like they can hit with a guy with the 20th pick, because that saves you a little bit more money. Yeah, if it's a Cooper Flag draft, you'd like to have number one, of course. But like, if it's just a relatively flat draft, yeah, I don't mind having a couple shots in the 20s.
Sure. Yeah. Why not? Why not? Okay. Oh, and then also, as maybe we don't talk about this enough. Yeah. They also have Nikola Topic coming in.
Yep. Who dropped in the draft because he had the torn ACL, and that's why he missed this entire season. And there were a lot of talks of him being a top 5 pick last year. A lot of people really, really, really like this guy. So how he's going to fit in, I think if nothing else, it's going to give him another ball handler that can really get out there and create some stuff. Because you could see it even, they won tonight, but they do not have enough ball handling on this team.
They don't.
Like, they really struggle at times when it's not SGA with the ball in his hands. Jalen Williams did a nice job when they went to that spread, pick two-man game, because it wasn't really pick and roll or even pick and pop. It was just two-man game designed to draw a switch. They were good. So yeah, it's gonna be something. I think with the way they just kind of keep filtering through guys.
Yeah. Let's move on to ridiculous Lakers trade proposals.
I love it. Yeah. There was one of those asked before we even get started. It was, I don't know. I felt like it was actually a little bit of an overpay for the Lakers side.
So we get into some of those because, Keith, we're in that point of the year where anybody who wasn't great in the playoffs is trash and has to be, forcibly ejected from the roster via catapult.
Yeah.
And so you get some of those where like next thing you know, like Austin Reeves is a throw-in in a trade or something, and somebody's like, "Oh, he was bad in the playoffs. Get him off my roster."
Get him out of here.
I'm mad at Dorian Finney-Smith or something. Don't bring him back. That kind of stuff that happens. That's okay. That's just it's part of the whole cycle of the emotional cycle coming off of an NBA season.
So I had to look and refresh myself. So really, if you weren't Rui Hachimura, then right, just get rid of everybody because he was awesome.
Yeah.
In the 5
games. People are still mad at Rui Hachimura. There's anger towards basically everybody, but in general, Rui was indeed awesome.
Yeah, I mean it's only been like 2 months, so yeah.
And Rui's vacation pictures are making me jealous. He's going to awesome places. He was like in Brazil. He was posting pictures from Tahiti and all this stuff. I'm like, Rui, you are living your best life right now. You really he's having a great time.
Should, man. That's what it's all about. Get back to work in the summertime. I don't know if I know we have Euro baskets going on this summer. Mm-hmm. There's like there's a AmeriCup that's happening later. We're not sending like a real Team USA to it, but yeah, it's we got a super chat
here. Marcus said these finals remind me of the 2013 finals, and also I believe the other reason for the old Thunder was ego clashing for why they couldn't get over.
Those guys got along pretty good then. They were pretty happy because one thing was they knew they could not keep James Harden in the 6-man role any longer. Like when they went to that finals against the Heat, he was the 6th man. Mm-hmm. I think people forget that now, but Thabo Sefolosha was their starting 2-guard on that team because it was Westbrook, Sefolosha, Durant, Ibaka, and Perkins. And then Harden was in there. Now Harden played starter minutes, but they knew they needed to start him. And there was a thing there where Daryl Morey was like, that's why we gave it. At the time, it was thought to be crazy that they traded Harden, but they also gave up a pretty good, a pretty decent package for him as far as players and picks and stuff that people thought were going to be pretty good. And like Kevin Martin ended up okay, for the Thunder. Steven Adams was really good for the Thunder for a long time.
Sure.
There, Jeremy Lamb didn't end up doing anything.
But when James Harden got to Houston, it was like it took a couple of games and everybody just went, oh, they screwed up.
100%.
Like almost immediately.
In Houston and Morey built a system completely designed to maximize James Harden's skills.
Yeah.
And it was like, we're going to do everything we can to win built around him. And they were really good, for a long time. That Rockets team gets forgotten because they never made a finals simply because they existed at the same time as the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
And they were really good. I mean, they pushed that Warriors team twice. Just tough. With
there were a few times where you could say they were, an injury away maybe from winning a championship.
Missing 27 consecutive 3-pointers away from going to a finals. Yeah.
Good Lord.
Brutal. All right, now it figures we're getting ready to slow down and everybody's like, oh, let me get my questions and I've been sitting on for 30 minutes. Are the Jazz really adding another 4 rookies to the roster? Yeah, probably not.
No.
I'd be very surprised. They added 6 in the last 2 drafts. So yeah, probably unlikely. They're trying really hard, I think, to trade up. I think they'd love to get up into like the Dylan Harper-ish range, or even VJ Edgecombe seems to be somebody that they're relatively high on. I've also heard they kind of like Ace Bailey. So, we'll see. I think you're going to see a ton of movement at the draft with teams moving up, down, in, and out of the draft. I think you're going to see some teams who have multiple picks, like Orlando has 2 picks. I don't really have 2 roster spots for 2 rookies. I think you're going to see them dump one of their picks. There's no way Brooklyn is making 4 first-round draft picks.
But we'll see teams try to combine them though to try to move up if they can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, without a doubt. Charlotte's another team that's been kind of interesting. There's been some talk of them maybe trying to move up to 3 or maybe even 2. And their thought was they got the 4th pick, and then they have those 2 very early 2nd-round picks, I think 33 and 34. That's going to be tough. You're not going to get up to 2.
No.
But if you're Philly and you're like, we can get the same guy we like anyway, like, why not? Let's go back a pick.
Yeah, very, very. If it's one move back, and that's where we get a couple of early seconds, maybe that makes sense. Otherwise, you're probably not getting up to 2 with that. Mm-hmm. And I don't is there anybody on the roster that Charlotte's going to be okay with throwing into a trade that would entice, say, Philly?
There should be plenty of people
Well,
on
I
the
mean,
roster, but yeah,
you're not going to throw like LaMelo Ball into a situation like that. You're not going to do
not for
Brandon
that.
Miller. You're not doing guys like that. So
No, and the rest of their guys, it's like the contracts get to be a little like,
right, that's
do
what
we
I'm
even
saying.
really want them? Yeah, because like Miles Bridges that's not seen as being necessarily a bad contract, but it's certainly not a good one. I'm just pulling it up.
There's this question here coming in. Do you think SGA is becoming hardened with the foul calls? Is it a problem? I differentiate between what James Harden was doing 4 or 5 years ago, and I put Trae Young in that category. There are a number of guys that were doing it, and what SGA is doing. I thought what was happening a few years back was way more egregious than what SGA is doing. Not saying I love what SGA does or anything like that, and I think there are things that need to be considered. I think too often we protect offensive players too much. We don't take into consideration who's at creating the contact often enough. But to me, it's a different level when we talk about the stuff James Harden used to do. I mean, there were those games where, I mean, my Lakers were one of them, but there were a few teams that literally put their hands behind their back to defend James Harden because he would just run into your arms and you couldn't do anything.
Yep.
It was a different level to me.
Does it. Harden was the king of hooking a guy with that right. And he's so strong with his left hand. He'd hook a guy with his right hand, go up with his left hand and still finish, even though he was the one who completely hooked the guy. And the difference too with him was when Harden flopped, he didn't often flop all the way to the floor because he was pretty strong and a pretty good finisher. Because there was a number of years too where he led the league in like and ones because of that. Yeah, and then you had Trae Young, and then the other one I hated was Chris Paul with the stupid, "Oh, you're running behind me. Let me dribble directly in front of you and stop," and you run into me. That was just nonsense there. So yeah, I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be. And go look at the numbers. Like it's not. I mean, Harden some of those years was taking a crap ton of free Rockets. As much as I just praised them, Rockets games were not really enjoyable watches. Like it was extremely effective and resulted in a whole lot of winning. But they were not a lot of fun. Like I loved when Manu got him from behind to win that series. Blocked. Remember, Harden was taking that potential game winner, and Manu blocked him with the rear contest. Like I went crazy because I was like, "Good, get this this team out of here." But I mean, yeah, they were really effective for a number of years. So
they definitely were.
I don't think so. I mean, plus you're not going to react to 1 year. It could be, if we took a couple more years and it was really like this. But I don't know. I just don't see it as being that big of a deal.
All right, let's go here. Stu to coach the Knicks. What would he charge? Are we talking about my cat?
I think so.
Stu, the studio cat? Yeah, that's it. I would deny the request to interview him.
Yeah, there it is.
Deny the request. Yeah, I don't know what he would charge. I don't know, cat treats or something like that, probably.
Sure.
But no, I'll deny the request just to keep with the trend here. Deny the Knicks from interviewing the cat.
It's like a cat would be really good in New York too, because like cats are so aloof, like they just wouldn't even care. Like, be like, "Oh, you criticize me? I don't care."
Reporters would criticize him, and he'd just be like, and knock something off the podium, and look right at you while he's doing it.
Yeah, yep. Hiss at him and bat at him. Yeah,
that's what he would do. That's what he would do.
18 million for who? For Stu? 18 million for him is embarrassing.
Stu, the studio cat.
I think they're talking about like Rui or something.
I would take the 18 million for Stu the studio cat. I'd be happy. I would share it with him. I would buy him the best treats I could possibly find. He would have the finest.
Watch him on TV.
Yep, exactly. Exactly.
What do we think Celtics do with 28 and 32? Yeah, this has come up quite a bit. A couple people have asked me, can they package those together and move up? Yeah, to like 26 or 25. Sure. Like it's just, you're not going to move up very far. This is not like the NFL. Like it just does not work that way in the NBA. I will say that I think they're going to actually use both of these picks and bring in two like actual rostered players. I don't think it'll even be a stash type thing. I don't know. Let's see how the draft board falls. I would assume probably at least one big. And then probably a wing. Yeah, would be that would be my guess. Maybe a guard. They're going to be a little light on the guard line. It's going to kind of be White and Pritchard if they do trade Holiday. So yeah, we'll see. And obviously Tatum run so much of the offense that you're not going to have him either. So we'll see.
Good to have some cost control contracts there
Yeah.
as well. Marcus said Embiid's foul baiting was just as bad. Sure. Yeah. Embiid, very,
now
very
it's tough
floppy.
because he's so big.
Yeah.
Like
He's so big, but
feels
he's
like
also
he
so like we see it in soccer. So the guys who just really don't fight at all to stay on their feet. Sometimes that's Embiid. He gets a little bit of kind of down. He's like an Imperial Walker, right? He just kind of tips over.
We all want to we want our bigs still to be like Shaq, right? Where it's like three guys jumped on
bouncing
him
off
of
him.
And then he still dunks it. And then there's not even a and one called or anything. So it's funny. I remember once talking to Howard Isley. Do you remember him? He was
I do.
The Jazz backup
I do
point guard for a long
Jazz was you guard, right?
Yeah, backup point guard to Stockton.
Yep.
He went to BC, so he would come back home when I was a kid growing up in Massachusetts. And one of the kids asked him, they're like, is it really they didn't say physical because that wasn't like how people talked then, but it was like, is it really hard to play in the NBA? Do you get beat up a lot? And like, this is a guard back then. And he like rolled up his sleeve and was like, yeah, look at all these scratches and cuts that are like permanent scars on my body. And he's like, and I'm not even a big man. It takes a beating. And he talked about at the time, Carmelo. I know he's persona non grata now, but back then it was like, he talked about Carmelo. He's like, you should see this guy's just cuts all over his body for life with that. So
crazy. Yeah. Crazy. Yep.
It's like Jokic, right? Like they say, looks like you want to battle with a
with a bear.
Yeah, with a grizzly bear.
Like Zangief from Street Fighter.
Yeah.
Remember that he had all the scars because he used to wrestle bears and everything?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yep. The spinning pile driver move and all that.
Didn't they come out with a new Street Fighter with the Nintendo Switch too? I think I saw that the other day.
I don't know, but we just wrapped up. We bought my daughter a Nintendo Switch for her birthday.
Oh, nice!
Just wrapped it up. I think we're gonna give it to her tomorrow. Maybe I may have to explore that and see, and kind of steal it from her for a little bit.
I needed a little break today from. I've been like writing like crazy, and we played Lego Marvel Superheroes on the Switch today for a while.
Nice.
I just like to run around and break everything. Like that's like the fun part of it for me. But yeah, I love those. Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna even pull it up because I don't even want to reference it. But like, we talk about basketball. Like, what are we supposed to do? We can't solve the world's problems otherwise. Sorry,
no, absolutely
not. We'll be your distraction from that.
There you go.
So yeah.
All right. Well, Keith, we should probably let you get some sleep at some point here. But we do appreciate everybody for joining us. This was kind of somewhat impromptu. We decided.
Wait, what? Hold on.
What?
Nintendo Switch has Tecmo Bowl?
Yeah, so I saw this. Like, it actually has the library of the old games in there that you can access. It's part of like the subscription thing. I don't know all this stuff. It's been like a long time since I've really gotten into video games, and you can access all the old games. I was hoping Paperboy was on there.
Yeah,
I don't know if it is, but yeah,
do you have to pay for it though? Because like I don't want to pay for.
Yeah, I think there's like a monthly fee, but I think it comes with like a like I don't know, the first 3 months free, something like that. I could check it out.
We'll check it out. And let me know because man, Tecmo Bo Jackson, the greatest video game athlete of all time.
You can just run around
fights like in my neighborhood, like because people were like, "I'm gonna play with the Raiders," and we were like, "No, you're not," because nobody could stop Bo Jackson. So yeah, and it was like. Yeah, legit like fist fights would go on with that. There was also in a I think it was it Bulls versus Lakers or Bulls versus Blazers? It was one of those early EA Sports games.
I remember
there was a spot on the floor that was slightly discolored, and if you pulled up from there with anybody, you hit a 3-pointer every time. And we had to like outlaw using the spot in games when we would play that game. Otherwise, like people would like it would turn into fights, like full on rolling around in the living room, punching each other in the head.
It's a cheat code.
Yeah, exactly. It was like you can't play that way. So yeah, but yeah, man, old school video games. Look at what we're getting into now.
Look at that. Look at that.
Yeah, my wife wants now you have to really let me know because she wants to play Super Mario 3.
So
really badly.
we're getting her like the Switch 1. I know the Switch 2
Yeah.
just came out, so we
Yeah,
got a
we
good
have
deal on the
Switch
Switch
1.
1. I'm like, she's not, she's
Yeah.
turning 9. She's not all into this stuff. It'll be new to her and all that.
Yep.
So we got her that one, but I'm gonna have to check it out and see. Yeah, Super Mario 3 with the little raccoon tail and all that kind of
Yes.
stuff, and see if that's on there.
Yeah.
Yep, for
Yeah,
sure.
and then you'll
I'll let
have
you know.
yeah, look at the two check out the like I know she likes like the Marvel game, like
Mhm.
Marvel stuff too. Check out the Lego Marvel game for
Okay.
the Switch 1. It's a lot of fun and it's super easy to figure out how to play, and like you guys will have a blast playing that. Like
We'll have to check
we
that out
yeah, it's one
for
of
sure.
our like things to do there. So but yeah. Yeah.
All
So
right. Well,
awesome. All right,
everybody.
guys. We appreciate it.
uh,
Hey, happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. We probably won't
yes,
talk to you
indeed.
before then, unless a KD trade goes down over the weekend. Then we'll get back on the show here. But otherwise, happy Father's Day. Enjoy it. Get yourself. We're doing a little Father's Day barbecue tomorrow.
Oh,
We're
that'll be fun.
picking up from my favorite barbecue place. So I'm pretty psyched about that. So
Nice. It's
yeah,
the way to do it. We went out earlier this evening, had a good time, came back, watched the game.
perfect.
But everybody, happy Father's Day to all of you out there. And thank you again for joining us. Till next time. See ya and stay safe.